This panel or this session is called Deepening Our Roots Through Reflection and Integration. It's going to be facilitated by Damaris Miller. And as I said earlier, Kailea Frederick had to step out because of the situation in Hawaii. I'm sure Damaris will talk about it a little bit. But the two of them designed the session from the beginning to the end, including the title. So we are really excited to have them facilitate this. Damaris is a community organizer, an educator, a food grower. They are committed to creating spaces of rest, discovery, and connection for Black, Indigenous, and other people of color, queer and trans folks, and activists. I have known Damaris for a very long time. Damaris, I have to say, in my career, I've been really lucky to have wonderful fellows. The website, the Phoenix image was designed by one of our previous fellows, Ella Quainton. Damaris holds their own space because Damaris actually spent 2 years in the field, traveling from Tibetan Buddhist monastery and nunnery to Tibetan Buddhist monastery and nunnery for 2 years straight, completely nomadic Tibetan lifestyle, training monastics to build environmental and climate projects that they could run and feel like they were leaders in the communities. They are completely, the entire time I've known them, they have been completely dedicated to ground up social movements, including faith-based climate action, food and environmental justice, sustainable agriculture, and Black liberation. They are a founding member of Rested Root, a Black queer worker-owned cooperative that creates opportunities for radically exploring social transformation. Damaris is one of the most stellar people I know, just incredible mobilizer, incredibly committed to grassroots, intergenerational, interracial, really just interfaith collectives of abolitionists and activists. So I'm so happy and excited that you're going to be part of the summit. Thank you so much, Damaris, for being here. Handing it over to you.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am very grateful to have been invited to be here. Thank you, Dakila. Dakila has been a real mentor and inspiration for me to be able to get the experience that I had and to be able to contribute to such a beautiful community and very much on the front lines of climate change. So I'm very honored to be here today, and also, holding a fair amount of grief for my friend Kailea and her community in Maui. So definitely going to be kind of weaving that through our time today. And, it's like such a tragic irony when you create a session on resilience in the face of climate change, and then you have to pivot at the last minute because of a climate change related crisis. And something that I've been reflecting on in just this last 16 hours since I found out is how important it is to be rooted. And so, like you might see behind me, I have this watercolor of a willow tree. And this is the logo of my worker-owned cooperative, Rested Root. And the reason why we use the willow tree and honor the willow tree in our logo is because willow trees have really remarkable capacity in multiple ways, one of which is that they release a hormone through their roots that helps other plants to root more deeply. And so we think of our work as helping folks and organizations to close the gap between their values and their actual practices, and in that work, in that transformation, to become more deeply rooted in their values. And then also willow trees are amazing because they're really powerful at remediating soil. They have the capacity to absorb all kinds of different toxic chemicals and metals through their roots and store it in the wood of the tree without harming the growth of the tree, and can actually remediate soil through that. And because they grow very fast, they are sometimes used to remediate soil. And that is really powerful teaching for me, because I think a lot about how the various forms of oppression and suffering are very much, I think, like contaminants in our society. When I think of the greed that drives climate change, or the racism that is very much at the what I'm working against in my organizing nowadays. I think of it as, yeah, contaminants in our soil, and this is in the soil of our society. And I'm always wondering and always contemplating, how can I be like transforming those, like absorbing them, but then actually using them in a way that's not harmful to me, but and in that process and in that practice, removing them from the soil around me, the communities around me. So that's why we kind of wanted to begin. I guess I'll share a little bit more about my work, but we really thought that in this session, we wanted to invite folks to be in a practice of integration and reflection. So I'm assuming that many of y'all have been engaging with various of the amazing panels and speakers that have been happening over the last couple of days. And sometimes what we find is, like, you come to these conferences and there's an amazing amount of information that's shared. And it can also be very overwhelming to kind of absorb it all and take it all in. And there's not often as much time as I need to actually sit with it, reflect, and integrate what I'm learning. So we felt that me and Kailea felt like that was really important to offer to the space, or the contribution that at least we could make. And hopefully that is in alignment with what y'all are also hoping to, what y'all need in this moment. So yeah, I'll just share a little bit more about the work that I do. I mentioned Rested Root. That's kind of the education and consulting work that I do. But that is, I think of that's like what I'm growing. Sorry. And oh, I just got a message from Kailea. That's wild. But the soil that I'm growing in is the community of Troy, New York, which is a small city in upstate New York where I live, and have been living for the past 5 years or so. And here I am part of an intergenerational collective of organizers called Shore for Black Lives. We range in age from 16 to 80. And we are mobilizing for police accountability and transparency and Black liberation in all forms. So some of that work is direct action, political organizing, and some of that work is mutual aid, trying to really create the solutions that we need in our community in order to be able to thrive, recognizing that many of these systems were designed to keep us in cycles of survival. And so one of the projects that has been really consuming my summer, but also takes up such a big place in my heart, is we started a community garden called Umoja Community Gardens. And so we've been turning abandoned lots into community gardens, and inviting folks into deeper connection with their food, with the soil, with the earth, and with each other. And I feel like that is, I'll talk about this a little bit more later, but to me, this is what community resilience, like how the kind of community resilience that I'm really excited to be a part of, because I see that as we're growing this, not only are we slowly increasing our food sovereignty in the neighborhood, but we're also really increasing our resilience by creating spaces where folks are getting to know each other better, coming into deeper relationship with each other, coming into reciprocal relationship with each other and with the earth. And to me, that is the foundation of, or the root really, of what I think of as resilience. And then I'll just say, like, where my roots are, I mean, in addition to like my ancestral roots, which are Black American, Japanese, German, Jewish, and Dutch, I really feel rooted in my spiritual meditation practice, primarily the Tibetan Buddhist practice of Nundro. And I just wanted to notice that I don't often mention it in public talks. But it felt important to name here, because I really do feel like that is the root that keeps me grounded. And I've noticed that as that practice has deepened and has expanded, it has made me much more resilient in the face of crisis, and in my own capacity to transform suffering into opportunities for liberation. So I'll stop there for now. But in the beginning of every session I always start with a grounding practice. And I know that there's been a number of those already offered. So hopefully this one will complement all the other ones that have been offered. But I'm going to offer it for about 10 minutes. And I really want to invite you to make yourself as comfortable as possible. First, maybe just like checking in with your needs. Do you need any water? Do you need to stand up? Do you need to lie down? Do you need to go to the bathroom? Whatever your body is asking for in this moment, I just want to invite you to take this moment to listen and respond. And yeah, like I said, please do make yourself as comfortable as possible. If you are able to kind of come into some stillness for the next 10 minutes, that would be beautiful. If not, as Mingyur Rinpoche shared with us this morning, the breath is always here for us, no matter what we're doing or where we are. And I just want to invite us to take a few deep inhales together. I like to inhale through my nose, hold my breath at the top, and then exhale through the mouth. Do that a couple more times, inhaling through the nose. Holding the breath, feeling the pressure, exhaling through the mouth. One more time, inhaling through the nose. Holding the breath, exhaling with some kind of audible sound. And now just take a few moments to acquaint yourself with the breath at your own rhythm. Perhaps noticing the feeling of your feet against the earth or your seat. Feeling the presence of the land pushing up against you, supporting you, cradling you as it has in every moment since we took form in this body. We might take a deep inhale, really relaxing into that sensation. There are specific lands that you may or may not be on at this moment, but you want to call into the practice, feel free to do so, as well as the ancestors of that land. I'm coming from Mohican land. I honor all the beings of this land as well as its Mohican ancestors. Just noticing if there's any shift in sensation as we come into presence with the earth that is us. Now I want to invite us to do a practice I call 7-generation breathing. And this is a practice that is inspired by the wisdom of many indigenous traditions that call on us to be present with the 7 generations that have come before us, as well as the 7 that will come after us. So the way this practice moves is the inhale. When we inhale, we're inhaling from that generation that has come before us. And when we exhale, we are exhaling to that generation that will come after us. And we will make our way from the first generation, our parents and children's generation, all the way back to the 7th generation. So I will kind of I'll guide us through it. But if you need to spend more time and do it at your own pace, that's totally fine. So we'll take an inhale, inhaling from our parents' generation, exhaling to our children's generation. Inhaling from our grandparents' generation. Exhaling to our grandchildren. Inhaling with our great grandparents. Exhaling with our great grandchildren. Inhaling with the fourth generation, our great great grandparents. Exhaling to our great great grandchildren. Inhaling with the fifth generation. Exhaling to the fifth generation. Inhaling with the sixth generation. Exhaling to the sixth generation. Inhaling to the seventh generation. One more sip of air for all the generations before them. Exhaling to the seventh generation and all generations to come. Now just offer a few moments to breathe with your own rhythm with these generations. Perhaps taking note of any sensations in the body or any messages that are arising from the ones who have come before us, who have maneuvered, transformed, and overcome so much to make our lives possible. And the ones who will come after us will pick up where we left off, will reap the benefit of all of our work, as well as face difficulties that we can't fully imagine. How does it feel to rest with them? You notice some places of extra tenderness or activation in your body. You might place a loving hand on that area. Inhaling the support from these ancestors, and exhaling any burdens that maybe you don't have to hold alone right now. Recognizing that we are existing in an intricate web of connection, and nothing is truly ours to hold or face alone. How does it feel to share those sensations with these beings maneuvering in the sidelines to support us? Is there anything else that we can let go of? And once again, bringing our awareness to the earth within and around us. Listening if there's any messages that the land has for us. Taking note if there's any more spaciousness or ease that has arisen during this practice, offering it to the land, to the ancestors, specifically to the people of Maui as they navigate their crisis, this crisis that we will all face sooner or later. What can we pull from our roots and offer to them? And as we prepare to close this practice, I invite you to take a few more deep inhales. Breathing in, exhaling through the mouth. Now taking the deepest inhale of your day. And exhaling. One more deep inhale. Perhaps exhaling with a hum or vibration. Mm. And at your own pace, I invite you to open your eyes if they were closed. Maybe wiggle some fingers or toes. And slowly checking in with your body at each stage. Moving at the pace of rest. Return to this space. You want to put a word in the chat to let me know how you're feeling and that you've returned. Would love to hear anything. Any words that have come up for you from this practice. And we're gonna kind of keep it, keep the grounding going. Thank you all for sharing. And feel free to continue to share. And now we're going to take some time to continue to reflect and to integrate in really whatever form or modality resonates with you most right now. I'm going to drop some prompts in the chat, and feel free to, it's a choose your own adventure kind of moment. So feel free to choose whatever question resonates with you, or if there's something else that's, coming up and you want to express it in whatever way, feel free to just do that. And, you might journal, you might do some creative writing, you could draw, you could move your body, you could go through notes that you've taken over the course of this summit, and highlight or consolidate them. Maybe you just are gonna stay lying down. Whatever, again, whatever modality is speaking most to you right now. In kind of reflecting on these questions around like what's been activated in your body during this summit. What's a thread that you want to continue exploring? Or what is something that has surprised you? So again, feel free to respond to any of these prompts for your own. And yes, to you, Isabella, we actually are going to also have some time after this to be in breakout groups with one another and be actually sharing with each other. So there will be an opportunity for connection after this next section. But right now, I just wanted to invite folks to be in your own practice, whatever that looks like. If you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the chat. I hope that was clear. I'm going to play some music. But obviously, if it's not vibing, if you're not vibing with it, feel free to just mute the Zoom. We're going to come back. I'm in Eastern Standard Time, but we're going to take about 10 to 13 minutes for this section. So 10 minutes after the hour, if you're in US time. We'll come back.
Come, my love, come and shine with your light on me. Come and play with the chimes in the belfry. Come with me and hold me in your arms. Let me feel your tenderness and your warmth. When the rain is falling hard, and the storm is far from over, my lady love, that's you. You give me warmth in the night. You take away my sadness. Oh, my lady darling, it's true. I'll give my world to you. Let me show you let me show you now. I long to hear your voice 'neath the night forlorn, and to gaze for a while into your eyes reborn. And though my mind sometimes gets weak and cold, you remain like a song in my heart and soul. When the rain is falling hard, and the storm is far from over, lady love, that's you. You give me warmth in the night. You take away my sadness. Oh, lady darling, it's true. I give my world to you. Let me show you. Let me show you now. Oh,
one more minute. Alright. So feel free to wrap up anything that you're reflecting on, you're writing or drawing, and come back to the space. Hope that was generative for you. Oh, let me put my camera on. And yes, I did drop the link to the Spotify playlist if you have a Spotify in the chat if you want to listen. It's like a 6-hour playlist, so there's a lot more where that came from. And all right, so now I just wanted to offer some of my own reflections, and then we will go into breakout groups to have some time to connect with each other, talk to each other. Then there'll be a little bit of time for us to share out to the whole group, and then we'll come back here for a closing. So that's just a overview of what we're going to do for the rest of the time together. But yeah, as I was reflecting, one thing I keep thinking about is that I have mixed feelings about this word resilience, or the idea of resilience, because in my community, especially in my Black queer community, we talk a lot about how resilience has kept our people alive, but it hasn't necessarily resulted in our thriving. And sometimes we want something we talk about is like, if we only celebrate our resilience, will we ever get to a point of thriving? And I in my own life, I've really thought about this, because there was a few years ago, I was burning out at a nonprofit job where I was doing really good work that was making me sick, and I kept I kept thinking about this and struggling with this question of like, how is it possible that I could be working for the liberation of all beings, or specifically like Black liberation, but be so depressed and so exhausted and so tired and so unwell. And I was resilient in the face of that. I was able to practice resilience, but I was not thriving. And so I ultimately kind of came to this moment of insight and awareness that I had to let go of that. I had to leave that that situation. I had to really check in with myself and start to explore, like, what does it mean to cultivate a life where I could actually thrive? What does my thriving even look like? And from that place, I think what I've found, and what I'm continuing to find, is that by centering my thriving, I've actually become even more resilient. So like, for example, one thing that happened in that time was like, when I left that job, took some time off, and started, and in taking time off, it happened to coincide with the beginning of the pandemic. So then, which coincided with Freedom Summer. So I ended up having all this spaciousness to go deep into grassroots community organizing that I had been doing on the side, when I wasn't working before. But now I had the chance to really fully immerse myself in it. And at the same time, I was also really committed to a daily practice for the first time in my life. And really invested in doing a practice every single day, no matter what. It started out as 15 minutes a day. But that was huge for me to really commit to doing that every single day, no matter what. And as I kept growing and experiencing and moving through that, my practice kept getting longer and deeper, and not always in a way that like it feels like profound, every day, but where I really felt the profundity was in moments of crisis, when I would have these times of my day that were already set aside for practice. And so when I was moving through crisis, then the practice could catch those moments. And then it became this powerful way for me to transform the suffering that I was experiencing into insight, into compassion, into wisdom, and also be able to move it through my body, so I wasn't holding it so much and it wasn't making me ill. And what happened and then what happened was, practice continued to get longer, went from like 15 minutes to like an hour, and then an hour to like 2 hours. Now it's like 3 hours, 3 or 4 hours a day. But what's been really beautiful to witness is that, like, as I've been investing in my own healing and thriving, I'm seeing that ripple out through all of the work that I do, and in the communities that I'm in, and in ways that I'm not even really trying. Like, that's what blows my mind continuously, is like, I was really invested, I was really going hard on this in this refuge practice. And then I was given this opportunity. I was asked to create a garden that has become a refuge in this neighborhood, right? And so that I'm now seeing too, like similarly, like with this garden project, that again, it's like, if we think of it just as a project of resilience, there is definitely value in that, for sure. However, when I think of it as like, what is it? How do I create this space? How do I cultivate this space to be a place of thriving? Then I actually think a deeper resilience will come out of that without me trying, if that makes sense. And so, like I'm feeling that I'm experiencing that right now, in terms of my organizing work, where, for many years, we were, my collective, which is, I would say, one of the more radical collectives in our city, we felt like we were just hitting a wall with the other Black leaders in our city, because a lot of them were more conservative than us. And so they were turned off by our rhetoric of abolishing the police, and even police accountability and transparency. And then we started this garden, and we started inviting them to come to the garden and just help plant things, harvest things, take food home. And then while we were at the garden, we're feeding them, and then we start talking about things, right? And as we started having these kind of informal conversations and just showing them like, hey, we're also about this as well. Like we're trying to do both. We're trying to uproot this system while we're also nurturing and growing the systems to replace it. We started to experience a lot of very different reaction from them, and to the point now where like we're collaborating with leaders on a project that would have been really hard to foresee even a couple of years ago. And the way I think of these things is like, all of these relationships, that those are the roots, right? Those are the things that will keep us rooted and grounded when when we are at the front lines of whatever climate crisis is going to hit us, whether that is extreme heat or flooding or storms. It is the deeper that we know each other, the deeper that we trust each other, the deeper we are able to face any issue that comes to us. See if I wanted to say anything else about that. Thank you for the chat. Yeah, and I think for me it was very terrifying to think about prioritizing myself, because I'm someone who very much has internalized this message of like, my life has value if it's being spent for the benefit of others. And so it was scary, I'll just say. It was very scary to really ask myself that question of, what do I need to thrive? But what keeps coming back to me, and what I was just reflecting on, is like, the more I go, the more I realize that when I thrive, everyone around me thrives more. So actually, like, all this investment isn't just for myself, it's actually for all of us. And what happens when that gets rippled out, not just on an individual, but on a community level, on a regional level, on a species level, that is why I feel really hopeful. And okay, that reminds me, the last thing I'll share is the way I feel about climate change, and how this connects to climate change again for me, because a few years ago, I was just having a moment. I was farming and I was taking a break, and just lying on the field. And I had this moment of feeling like a very clear message, communication from the earth. And I believe it, I guess is what I'll say. Because what I felt the earth was telling me in that moment was kind of like, okay, I'm gonna try to, I think it wasn't really in language, but I'll try to interpret what I received, which was kind of like a look. Like y'all humans are really messed up. Like you actually got us all messed up right now, and I need you to get it together. And actually, like, I'm gonna help you. You're not alone in this alone. I have the power to actually disrupt all of these systems that you are fighting. All the systems of racism, capitalism, misogyny, transphobia, greed, anger, aversion, like all of that I can disrupt because I'm more powerful than anything that humans can create. But what I need is for you to be ready. So when I disrupt it, you can gather yourselves and actually use that opportunity to transform these systems, use that opportunity to actually transform the way that you're in relationship with each other and with the earth. And the hard part is that people are going to suffer. Like, it's hard. And I really felt in that moment, I felt the grief of the earth. And I'm just feeling that now. It came back to me because when I got the news from Kailea and I was, reading about the situation in Hawaii, and I was just feeling that how painful it is still, even knowing that there's profound opportunity in moments like this for us to, show up for one another through mutual aid, for us to actually shift some of the ways that we are in relationship with each other and with the earth. It's still incredibly painful. And there's still so much grief. And that is why, again, I come back to a gratitude for the practice that I've been able to cultivate, which helps me to recognize that this is part of the human experience. This grief is something that I don't have to hold alone because I'm not the only one holding it. And I feel that, that the at least what I heard and what I try to live into is that the more that we prepare ourselves through this relationship building, through rooting ourselves in our own liberation, being in connection with the earth, listening to the earth and to the ancestors and to the ones who will come after us, the more we gain the ability to take these moments of tragedy, these incredibly painful situations, and actually leverage them so that there is liberation within them, wherever we can find it. So yeah, I will stop there. Thank you all for receiving me. I definitely got a little more personal than I was expecting, but I guess that's what happens when you have double the time you think. And we are going to transition now into another Zoom. So I know that this is going to be a little, might be a little disruptive, but I promise it's worth it. So we're going to have to go into another Zoom so that we can break out into breakout groups and talk to each other. And I believe that Rita is going to drop the link now for us to go over there. So I very much hope that y'all will be able to go over there. We're gonna, again, we're gonna do some breakout groups, have a chance to talk to each other, and we're gonna come back. And if you wanna ask me questions or you wanna respond to what I've said any more than we've done in the chat, that will be the space to do that. So thank you again. So can we get the link or should I drop it?
Damaris, will you go ahead and drop it? Thank you.
Let me just pull it up. Somewhere here. Okay. So there is the link in the chat. See you over there, I hope. everyone. All right. Welcome back. I was gonna play a video to close, but I just lost it, and I think it will probably take me too long to pull it back up. And Kalea was meant to do the closing, so I'm just gonna improvise right now. And I guess what I'm curious to know about is invitation to for folks. I think it seemed like a lot of folks are resonating with my journey around checking in with myself and trying to ask myself, like, what do I need to thrive? So I think I want to reflect that back to y'all, like, and invite everyone to set an intention for yourself around what is your intention for investing in your own thriving, and it could be your community's thriving as well, if you resonate with more with that. But yeah, I wanted to invite everyone to set an intention as our closing, and as we move towards the end of the summit and back in into life, you know, with its ups and downs and chaos and peace. So I'll put it in the chat, but the prompt is just, what is your intention for how you're going to deepen your own thriving or the thriving of your community? And feel free to just drop it in the chat. Oh, that's to the host and panelists. Hold on, let me send it to everybody. This is for everyone. So yeah, feel free to put your intentions in the chat. Maybe I can read some out as they come in. Maybe I'll try to pull up this last video in the meantime. All right, found it. But I just want to read some of these intentions: community building, love, make space to slow down and think of deep time, focus on well-being so that I can help my community thrive later on, rest, plant more gardens, try to find a sense of belonging wherever I am. Oh, wow. Continue to move and dance in community outside in the natural world, find like-minded people to take action, to lessen suffering, connect more with nature. Beautiful. Practice saying no. I love that. Standing up for myself and being honest. Being a great ancestor. That is definitely the goal. And to pay more attention to the reset when I get outside of my window of capacity. Love this. Seek to understand. Yes. So feel free to keep dropping intentions in the chat. I'm going to play a short video. I think I'm going to play this one that was created by my beloved friend Bronte, who I feels appropriate to bring in at this time because they are someone who I met at the same time that I met Kailea. We were all together at a nunnery in northern India, talking to nuns about climate change. And so this is a project that they have created called Can I Get a Witness? And I'm going to share it now. It's about 3.5 minutes. So it will take us right to the end. Share send. Y'all can see it?
Everything is not about language, what you say or write. Some of it is in dance, right? And she was like, you know, think about the dance for Yemaya, right? That's deeply about the water and ecology. That's its own kind of grammar. What happens at the level of the body that again can't be translated, has to be experienced, co-witnessed between Black and Indigenous peoples. It's bringing me to Black and Indigenous spaces of ceremony, perhaps even since you gifted me with this laughter, gut-busting laughter. That's the space of the flesh. And that's the alchemy I'm trying to get to, like the doing and the changing and the transforming beyond the body, but the flesh. What is flesh? Flesh at the ecological level, land, water, sky. And our flesh is deeply connected to that. What does that mean? What is that changing and shaping and manifesting and giving?
I trust the radical and always shifting ground of Black freedom dreams. I also trust Black freedom dreams when they consider Native freedom.
Yes, share. So just with that, I'm again very grateful for all of y'all and feeling your freedom dreams, sending many blessings so that our freedom dreams may be the reality of our descendants.
Thank you so much, Damaris. Oh my gosh. You know, it's amazing because teaching is such an important, big element of our relationship. We share the same teacher. We taught all the monks and nuns together. I just want to say you have been my teacher and everyone here as well. Your refusal to close your heart, regardless of how much hurt you've experienced, just the way you are, just the way you embody compassion, in all the myriad ways you show up for community and for everyone. I just want to thank you. Thank you for giving us this space.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're going to save all the chat and send it to you because it's just this outpouring of love.